former President Donald Rumsfeld.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I know many of you have been calling on me to make comments or to sometimes trying to get an interview. Over the last few weeks, I have really been quite busy. A lot of it has been also on issues that were personal, but also I've been tied up with some other matters. However, I thought I also wanted to wait until the party had completed its selections of candidates for the parliament, members for the parliament, before I actually speak to the media. And now that that is done, I think that it is time for me to. I know that I think I owe you to be here to talk to you about some of these matters. I have seen a lot of articles written mainly by haters of the PPP Civic on what is taking place in the party and about why I am not in Parliament. I would like to answer that question straight away, to say that it was my personal view that the party should go into transition at this point in time, and to go to transition to younger leaders to take us to future successes in the party. And I thought that the party should have chosen a leader from among this generation of people. But generally, the leadership of the party, after thorough discussion, they agreed with that position, but after thorough discussion, they felt that they need a kind of a transition to that. And that is why we have this situation here where we now have Comrade Bharat Jagdeo to come as the leader of the opposition. So just wanted to make that point very, very clear, that this was a decision taken by the whole party, which is felt that we need over the next 5 years to work towards transitioning the party into younger people's hands. I think also that we have been very, very fortunate. The party has been extremely fortunate to have exceptionally capable people in the leadership of the party, both matured and young leadership that can take, very talented people that can take us into the future and to see us scoring greater success on behalf of the people of our country. So just wanted to clear that point up with you. I would like also to touch a little bit on I've seen a lot of things also being written about our achievement in the last 3.5 years. There seems to be a deliberate attempt in part and sections of the media to try to say everything that took place over the last 3.5 years, probably even longer than that, in the whole PPP Civic administration has been bad. But I am extremely proud of the fact that over the last 3.5 years, we kept our economy going forward in the face of two important aspects. One is that we had a very unfavorable international climate, and secondly, for the first time, we had a government operating where the opposition had a majority in the National Assembly, and they really showed their whole position of being completely, totally obstructionist, and tried their best to stop every progress that this country is making. Even so much so that they did their best to even try to stop the anti-money laundering bill from being passed, something that all know that every single Guyanese would have been hurt. But not only that they did every single thing in their power to try to stymie our development. And despite the fact that up to April of this year, our economy kept growing, and I'm very, very happy with that. We have brought into fruition some of very, very important projects. The Marriott, for one, which was opened, which gave Guyana first-class international standard accommodation that has increased our capacity to hold major conferences here. I think I had said before at some other press conference that there were times when we were in government that people came here wanted to do business but went away because they didn't find the accommodation up to standard for them. That was when we had a Middle East delegation coming here from Kuwait to do business, and they only spent a few hours and left because of them. Now we have all of these accommodation. Many of the major projects that we had that can catapult this country forward have been, some of them have been stymied. The Amila Falls project, you know how important the importance that I have put on that project as being extremely essential to catapult this country forward. We need cheap energy, cheap electricity to push our country forward. And that now I think hangs in the balance. I don't know what will happen with that project. We could have been building it already, but you know what had happened in the parliament where that is concerned. Some of the other projects that were criticized, ironically, like the new airport that we're building, we see that we were lambasted by the opposition to say that it was too expensive. But now we hear that the government, now that they're in government, that they're saying it is too cheap, and they're looking to spend another 60 million United States dollars on this project. I would like to say that this is a dangerous and this is a very unfortunate development as far as that is concerned, and it will affect the welfare of the Guyanese people. The contractors had come to me when I was president, approximately 9 months to a year ago, with the same proposal to try to get me to spend more money on the project. I had pointed out there to them that the contract was a design and build project, and they had designed the project, and they had all the agreement to do the project, and we refused to concede to their position and said that they had to bring in the airport at the contractual price that we have. Now I see that the new administration varied from that position, even though I think they are very, very well aware that this was a fixed contract. They have varied from that project, and now it could cost the Guyanese people more than 60 million United States dollars more in that regard. I've also, so I think that is one area that I will point out that I think that it's sad of what is taking place. Something that we could get a good quality airport, and that the veering of that contract is really totally ill-advised at this point in time. I would like also to say that there are many achievements that we've had, and I'm very proud of that. I had promised in 2011 during the elections campaign that in the next 5 years, by 2016 when the elections would have been due, that we would have been able to achieve universal secondary education in the country. We are almost there. We have gone very far with some areas we had. I think, for instance, in Region 5, I think they have achieved universal secondary education, and we are at the threshold of that. We've taken that very far away. We have also done enormously well as far as health services are concerned. You got to realize when we took over government in 1992, rats were eating babies' hands out of the Georgetown Public Hospital. Now we are doing open heart surgeries there. We have cancer ward, we have bone ward there. And then we were moving towards creating to provide a new service to the Guyanese people with a new specialty hospital to make a lot of the services that people couldn't afford, to make them affordable to the ordinary people, and also to turn it into a revenue stream as well, in the sense that we would have been able to attract a lot of people to come here for those services. So, unfortunately, the new government has decided to end that project, which would deny a lot of the Guyanese people important services, tertiary services that they could not afford. Many people die from things that they should not die from, as far as the development of science and technology now is concerned. And finally, before I open the floor to questions, I want to touch on the crime situation. I know that when the present parties in government, when they were in the opposition, they said they had a superior plan than ours to fight crime. And they had lambasted us from time to time, and they were always boasting about their credentials, all army people, military security people who dominate the government now, claim that they had all the answers for the crime situation. But now we see a real upsurge and a spike in the crime situation in the country. And I was really, really shocked to hear yesterday that or the day before yesterday, the president was having a meeting to now work out a plan. So what does that mean? Were they lying to the Guyanese people in their manifesto? Were they lying to the Guyanese people about all the plans and the things that the plans that they had? Were they deliberately deceiving the Guyanese people on many of these things? Now we see, as I said, every single day we see violent crime being escalating in our society, and the government still is only now beginning to draft a plan to try to deal with the situation. So those are some of my these are my initial comments, and I will open the floor to your questions.
Mr. Ramtar, Dr. Shibagam Rao. Sir, in a matter of who should be part of the group leading the party into the future, and who should be the opposition leader, was it put to vote in the level of the Central Executive or the Executive Committee of the party?
No, it was never put to vote. We had extensive discussions on it, and we came to more consensus positions. As I said, my position from the very beginning that we should transition to another generation. So it was not put to the vote. So the information that was in the media about how much votes people got and so forth is totally false.
And why did you take this step prior to the last election? Why did the party take the step of moving on into the next generation, having regard to the experiences of 2011 when you basically had a minority government?
Well, you got to take into consideration, I don't think the party was wrong in the position that they took in the last election. You know our position, these elections, we did not lose these elections. Those elections were stolen from us. I agree that we could have probably done even better. And probably made it more difficult for them to steal the election. But generally, the PPP did not lose these elections. We are convinced that the elections were stolen from us.
Mr. Ramatar, Sir Gordon Mosley, News Source. We're seeing the PPP putting out its list last evening, and absent from that list is the presidential candidate yourself and the prime ministerial candidate. What do you think, what message does that send to your supporters in terms that you were prepared to lead and be second in charge, but now that you're going to the National Assembly, you're both absent from the party's dealings in the National Assembly?
Well, the whole situation, as I said, in our country has changed tremendously. Of course, we went into the election with the expectation of winning the election. We did win the election, as I said, the elections were stolen from us. So that changed the political situation quite a lot. And as I mentioned to you in my opening remarks, what was my position at this point in time. The Prime Ministerial candidate, Ms. Harper, I think she already made a statement as far as that is concerned, and I think we should take what she said as her position.
Do you agree, sir? You had fired Minister Ramsaran when he served as health minister. You had fired him over that the slapping incident, the remarks with regards to that. You'd asked him, you'd revoke his ministerialship, but now we're seeing him heading back into the National Assembly as a member of Parliament, and we're also seeing Ms. Westford, who is currently embroiled in an investigation into the transfer of several government vehicles to private use. We're seeing both of them on your list of candidates.
Yeah, as you will probably appreciate that that in a political party like ours, there will be, as I said, we have a lot of discussion and debates and disagreements. But in the final analysis, when we come to a decision, that's a decision that is final. So I would say that there were people in our party who were not, probably not in favor of every single person who's on the list. We had a lot of discussion on these things. It would have been totally unnatural if everybody had agreed and everyone there. But that is the final decision of the party, that this is the people that they want to take to the parliament. So I will do my best to support them in their work in the National Assembly.
Did you
But if
agree on
you-
their return? Did you agree that those?
That is not important now. As I said, the party has taken a decision. Whether I agree with the decision or not, that is not. I've made my point. I've always been a disciplined PPP member, and I've made my point. I've made my points where when those things were discussed. But as I said, this is the result that we have.
What does this mean for your political career moving forward?
Well, let's see. I mean, I'm in the leadership of the PPP. I continue to be a member of the PPP. I continue to make a contribution to the politics of this country. I will not seek the office in the future unless something really dramatic takes place that will so demand from my colleagues that I do. But that is where I stand at this point in time.
The list is one person short, it's 31.
Okay, but that wouldn't be a problem. Probably today they will fill that. I think there's probably a second one that's short. Since that list was read out, one other person would not be making it to the parliament because of health situation. Dr. Ramsamy, Leslie Ramsamy will not be making it to the parliament. Two, but he's expressed his desire and he really would like to have gone there to do battle, but I think he has serious health problems. So probably today, they probably in another day or two, they will name the replacement and make that announcement.
And so in terms of the party, you're talking about the party transitioning itself for the next elections, but we're seeing Mr. Rohi as the General Secretary. We're seeing Mr. Jagdeo as the new leader of the opposition. And when the diplomats come into the country, they're meeting with you just last week. You welcomed the Commonwealth Secretary General here. So what I'm trying to get from you in terms of leadership, is the party going to relook at the structure of leadership? Who is the leader of the party as it is now?
Well, the way the party is structured since 1969, 1970 actually. 1969, the party took a decision to transform itself from the structure it had then, which at that time you had a leader, chairman, vice chairman, general secretary, assistant general secretary, etc., etc. And in 1969, they took a decision to transform that structure into the structure that we still have today. Because at that time, I suspect they wanted a stronger discipline, greater unity, and they thought that the structure that we had then was not suited for that. And so they transformed to this structure. And in that regard, the General Secretary of the party is the force among equals, to put it that way, in that regard. So I don't know. I think that these are issues that the PPP will have to discuss, whether the structure that we have now is what is actually needed in a new type of situation that we face. And we have always been able to deal with these issues, difficult as they are, and to solve the problem and to move forward in the future. So I'm sure that in the very near future, a lot of these things will come under discussion, whether we need to change the structure or not. That is not yet in full discussion within the party. We have been tackling with these issues after the aftermath of the last elections.
Oh, Mr. Ramachar. Yeah, Mr. Ramachar,
There's only two of you asking questions here, man.
Well,
I have a dormant set of.
Let's give the outline.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Jabra Infection News. Were you 100% in agreement of the delay? Of the delay for the PPP's entry into Parliament and release of the list at all times?
put it this way. Let me try to answer you in a different way. I knew that we had to go back into the parliament, right? I was convinced, as my other colleagues have been convinced, that we had to go back into the parliament. The question was the timing. Now I feel the earlier the better, but I don't think that is totally yet settled when we go. But my personal view, if you're asking me that, is that the earlier the better.
So the list hasn't been submitted to GCOMS yet?
The what?
The list hasn't been submitted to GCOMS
I
yet?
think that will be just a matter of days that will happen.
Mr. Ramatar, Paul, I use both you and Ms. Harper campaigned to be looking into office in these past elections.
What?
Both you and Ms. Harper campaigned to be looking into office in this last election. How will you respond to your supporters that voted for both you and Ms. Harper, and now you're out of parliament? You need the internal parliament to represent their causes.
No, I think our supporters have always generally been voting completely for the list. I think they will very well understand that the situation. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to stop representing the people of this country. I am here. I will continue to struggle on their behalf. I will continue to struggle with the PDP on behalf of the people of this country. I just spoke to you about what is happening in the crime situation in Guyana. We will continue to fight. I mean, I think that it is a tragedy what is happening, let's say, particularly in this area, because a lot of what are the reasons for some of these things that are taking place. A lot of when we play politics with something like crime or with security, this is what we actually end up with. When the police have been attacked day in, day out, and called all kinds of names, and being accused of deliberately trying to kill people and what have you. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be dealt with when those things are proven, but when you cast that against everyone, then you find sometimes people are worried. Then you also, when you play with criminals, you just remember the Marcel Williams, Felix tape conversation to look at what the playing with criminals have done. And when we hear some of the reports that I have heard, that some criminals telling the victims that this is our time, meaning they feel that they have a government in place that is protective of them. When you take into consideration, and many who now sit in the halls of power have been in their own professional lives defending some of the biggest drugs people in this country, and so forth, and then still turning around to play politics with some of these things. This is what we get. So I'll be here. I'll be talking about those things. I'll be fighting to change those things. When you try to take the community out of fighting crime by taking away their vehicles, some of them had old vehicles that they cared and worked with to try to service their community, and they are seized from them now, and therefore denying the community from being part of the anti-crime fight in our society. Those are things that we need to talk about. Those are things that we have to talk about, and we have to continue to make representation for people. And that's I'm not going anywhere as far as that's concerned.
Sir, on Venezuela, are you satisfied with the response of the Guyana government with regards to this controversy? Of course, when your government left office, Venezuela was already acting up by writing letters to the companies.
We have our position has always been very, very clear from the time that this issue rose in the 1960s. If you allow me just to quickly give you a bit of a background on the PDP's position on this issue. This issue was raised first when the PDP was in office, when Guyana was still a colony in the early 1960s. Dr. Jagan then took the position, he was premier of the country, that to allow the Venezuelans, he asked the British to open their archives, to allow the Venezuelans to examine their archives to see if they find any evidence to pursue their claims. They did not, and we considered the matter closed. In 1965, just before independence, you had another issue being developed there again, where this matter was raised again, and said it would have been discussed. Since then, the matter was put in a cold storage for a while, and now it's coming out. Just at the end of our term of office, we had come to the conclusion that the good offices process was not working, and we were approaching the United Nations to have look for another kind of mechanism to bring this matter to a final conclusion. But we have in the past, when the PNC was in government and we were in the opposition, from 1964 to 1992, we supported the government on the issue, and now our position remains the same. So we stand with the government and we stand in total unity on this issue of Venezuela's claim on our territory.
So
We
you
don't
asked-
think that they have a claim. We have a signed agreement. We think that the award made in 1899 it was, the award made then is valid, and that is our position.
So are you satisfied
We
now?
are going to support the government on the issue of the sovereignty of this country. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, going back to the list of candidates that were submitted,
Let me see somebody else who didn't ask something. Yes.
Mr. Ramatar handled Duncan Nightly News. Just quick clarification. When a party heads to parliament, is there an initial focus or a game plan as you head in there?
Well, we will go to Parliament to represent the people of our country, to represent all the people of our country, to deal with many, many issues that are plaguing the people of our country. For instance, right now, as I mentioned to you just now, that I am extremely proud of the fact that up to April of this year, our economy kept going forward and being increased. This government now seems to have taken their eye off of the ball, and they seems to be doing very little as far as the economy is concerned. And everywhere I turn now, everywhere I go, I hear people complaining bitterly about the slow down in the economic situation. I even understand that importation, collection of duties and so forth are way, way down from what it is supposed to be. And I think that is because the government has not been pursuing some of the important projects that the PDP still has left within, that they could have been pursuing, that could have, in our society, which is a pretty small society, which government project plays an very, very important role in driving the economy. By looking for zombies under the bed and by violating a lot of our, by violating even the things that they talk about. Like for instance, the vexed question of, I don't think anyone is opposed to audit, they have a right to audit, but to bring people who have interest, conflict of interest, without going through any of the processes, without going through any tender processes, to appoint these people, shows very, very clearly that what kind of government we have, and I'm just putting out a warning. I think there's a creeping. Many people I talk, even people in government, sometimes I talk to, they tell me, don't let us talk on the phone, man. People will be listening to our conversation. This is they're creating fear, a new kind of fear in our society. And I am told, I didn't myself speak to any of the ministers, but I am told by people who spoke to the ministers, even some ministers tell them, don't let me talk this thing on the phone, but I'll wait till we meet. So I'm just warning that of what is the kind of atmosphere that is beginning to build when we have kind of all of the military type of techniques in government and the direction that it can take us. So so that is the fear. They're creating a lot of fear, and when they're not finding anything substantial to talk about, after all the efforts that they're making to look for big fraud and so forth, they come up with a couple of gallons of gasoline. So let's see. I'm very happy that they're doing it because I think it will vindicate many of the people and show how vindictive they were when they were opposition. They talk about consultation. For instance, I think this would have been a very interesting consultation in our country, the closures of bars at 2 p.m. in the night. That would have, if that was thrown out for discussion and consultation in our society, it would have been very interesting to hear the views come up before you impose it on people. I'm sure that there are pluses and minuses on both sides of the game, but it would have been interesting before implementation. That was not so urgent that you had to implement it immediately, that the whole country will collapse if it wasn't implemented now. So I think many of the things that they talk about, consultations and so forth, they're just showing that they're trampling on these things.
So to bring about change and to improve the lives of Guyanese in one way or the other, the party is heading to Parliament to make representation.
Sure. Yeah.
The young man and then
Who is young man? I mean, then this young lady hasn't asked the question.
Oh, she gave her a child.
Going back to the list, I just want to know, yesterday the statement had given why by the former Foreign Affairs Minister and Mr. Singh had opted out, sorry. But no reasoning was given for a lot of the other ministers, such as Robeson Ben. You letting me talk or you can talk?
You can have the time to ask.
Robeson Ben, Webster, Rob Prasad.
Webster was not on the list.
That's
Webster was not on the list.
Oh, she was on the list of candidates. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Same goes for like.
I suspect that the party will have other important assignments for the other government. There's no problem with these comments that you're talking about, no issues. But one, we have a limited amount of people that we can put into the parliament. And secondly, we have other very important areas that these governments will be able to make a contribution. And I think that will be done in the near future, and you will hear from that in the regular press conferences that are held here.
But following up on that, with the absence of Dr. Singh and the absence of people like former Minister Ben, you seem to be missing on your side people with that level of expertise in the ministries that they were heading.
Yes, but the information is there, and these comments are not unavailable. They are not unavailable to the team that will be going into the parliament. I am not unavailable to them too. I'm available to do whatever help I can.
But what would you say to criticisms that your list is somewhat very weak?
Well, I think that there is nothing that we can do in some quarters to get any praise from some areas. In fact, I understand that some media houses have taken a direct position not to publish anything positive about the PPP, and even people's letters that are being now docked from the newsprint. So I'm not worried about that type of criticism. I think that we will always get that type of criticism. Historically, we've always had that kind of people who have been very, very hostile to the party. So the criticism in some quarters that it is weak, I don't accept that.
Mr. Rapporteur, going back again to the list, a number of persons have had their names involved in a number of unsavory activities. What do you say to your critics who say that you're taking people with a lot of baggage into the party? And sir, the whole crime situation you refer to what extent does the PP want to exploit that for political gain? And where is the civic component? In announcing the list last night, there was no reference to PP Civic, just PP. Is the civic component no longer part of the arrangement?
No. There are many people on the list who are civic, who are not members of the PPP. That probably must have been an oversight somewhere along that. If that is so, I didn't hear the announcement myself. But there was absolutely no issue as far as that is concerned.
And the question of how do you respond to critics that a number of persons, Nigel Darabilla, Barry Ramsaran, et al., have all had their names involved in unsavory activities, baggage?
Well, when they were chosen on the list, these things were not unknown, and the party decided to put them on the list to go into the National Assembly. So very, very clearly, I think that a lot of the charges, a lot of the attacks on these people have not been proven. Many of them have been done for political purposes. There was a desperate attempt to try to bring down, target our ministers, our members, generally to target them, and I don't think that we can always be guided by what some of these things that have been totally not proven.
As president, sir, you openly criticized Mr. Ramsaran for his statements, then you fired him. If you were to have your way in the party.
Did I openly criticize?
Yes, in statements, his
What did I
statements
say?
in a telephone conversation and
What
so.
did I say?
My memory serves me
Did I
right,
openly
you criticized it, you said it's not something you would encourage
Yeah.
and stuff like that. That's what I'm trying to get from you though, is if you
But
were
what
to
I've
have
said,
your
no,
way.
but okay, what I've said,
Mhm.
what opinions I have of on the list, I have expressed it in the place that I'm expected to express the opinion. The decision has been taken that these people are going to go to the National Assembly, and I am going to support this that is going to the National Assembly.
And what I'm trying to get is if you had your way, would you have Mr. Ramsaran serving in the
Next question.
National Assembly?
But as I've said, you must also appreciate how political parties function, not only the PPP, but how political parties function, if they are functioning in a democratic way. And when the decisions are taken democratically, that these are the people that we're going with, that is the people that we're going with in this regard.
Mr. Ramitara, please permit me a clarification.
Let me get somebody else.
You've chosen these people,
Uh.
but how do you see this helping you in your long-term plan to regain office by virtue of some of the criticism of those persons?
We will continue to fight. We will continue as the situation unfolds. If there is need to make changes, I think the party is capable of making changes if that becomes necessary. Yeah.
On the subject of state audits, you mentioned that nothing substantial was found. Now, can you offer a comment on the state of the Petroleum Fund?
On the what?
On the state of the Petroleum Fund when the present government entered office?
What do you mean the state of the
Petro
It's
Caribbean.
empty,
They
it's
said that-
empty state.
Well, where did they take the money go? And where the auditors show the money went to the right farmers.
Well,
The money, if you don't expect it, if you were to give the money to the right farmers and pay for the millers for their rice and their paddy, that there would be money in the funds too. In fact, we were not getting oil, we were selling rice faster than we were actually buying oil from Venezuela. So the money didn't go into anyone's pocket, and the audit will prove that. The money went to the rice farmers of the country. That's where the money went.
Mr. Ramsaran, one of the last acts as president was the pardon of a child killer.
The what?
The pardon of a child killer.
I think I will do a special thing about that. I don't want to mix up everything. I'm going to do one
You
only
can make
for
this
that.
one special.
I promised the parents of the child who died that I will do that, and I will do that in the near future. So let's skip that for the time being. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, David.
It's two members that they have to, two more.